Jai Hind, and today we have with us Colonel Gaurav Dimri. Colonel Dimri is an ex-NDA, served out with the Armored Regiment, commanded 48 Armored Regiment, and then he chose to move out, did an MBA in HR from the prestigious Management Development Institute, and since then has been in corporates for almost a decade now. Sir has experience in the manufacturing setup, worked with the Trident Group of Industries, and now is in the services sector as head HR of Sharda Group of Institutions. We have requested Sir to come and guide us today on a specific point, that is, when short services officers of all the three services, or maybe at times even the Central Armed Police Forces, they decide to come out and seek positions in HR functions after 10 to 14 years of service in the uniform. What it is that they should be sanguine about, what it is that they should be looking forward to, and Sir would be guiding us on that. So, welcome for today's discussion, sir.
Thank you very much, Captain. Honored to be here.
सर हम सर सबसे पहले जैसा कि मैंने भूमिका में भी कहा, शॉर्ट सर्विस ऑफिसर्स के बारे में मैं आपसे ये जानना चाहूंगा सबसे पहले कि शॉर्ट सर्विस ऑफिसर्स को लेकर के इंडस्ट्री का इनके बारे में क्या व्यू पॉइंट है, इंडस्ट्री इनको कैसे देखती है. They come with the ranks of major nowadays, mostly, or squadron leaders and equivalent. So, what is the industry's perception, viewpoint, understanding of the short service commission officers?
What happens is that two factors which play a role in the when you are looking at a candidate, especially from a diversity background like defense services. So it need not necessarily translate strictly on the rank of the officer, but more pertinent is the number of years of service experience he or she is carrying. That is one part. And with that particular number of years of service, what was the administrative, operational, and financial powers or nature or scope of duties he or she was handling? So, in that context, the because the rank, as you are aware, few years back, the major substantive rank was at 11 years of service. Today, it is at I think 4 years of service. So that way, the rank is fine, but more important one from the only from HR perspective, it is the number of years of experience, the age, and the administrative and financial scope of that particular officer's profile would handle while being in service, especially at the last position period. So in that context, the short service officers carry an advantage vis-a-vis PMR, and of course, vis-a-vis the officers leaving after full service because of the advantage of age, being an early starter, and the understanding of the corporate that we're getting an officer who has sufficient experience, who has been well trained, well equipped. The organization has invested him or her for over 2 decades, has imbibed the 10 years is a sufficient time to imbibe the ethos of the organization, and defense services as an organization are highly reputed and respectable. So they carry the advantages of what, from the organizational point of view, officer with 20 plus years of service with PMR gains is also in the same manner, in the similar quantum, is gained by the short service officer. So that is from the organizational point of view, the intangibles which accrue. And the other benefit, as I said, is the age of the younger age profile of the officer. So here is an officer, here is a candidate, younger in age, carries the relevant background and experience of the military, has imbibed, deemed to have imbibed all the qualities, may not have tenanted those senior level command and staff appointments, but yet was fully trained to undertake those assignments. And because of certain organization policies of releasing officers, is now available to step into corporate world. But the advantage is that we can mold him in a much better manner and take him, give him a suitable role subject to his suitability at a mid-level management and groom him there, which may not be the advantage of grooming an officer with 20 plus years of experience or at the age of 54, 56. So definitely it's a positive perception in the corporates for short service officers, and more so even for lady officers with the short service entry.
Right. So now,
That advantage, yes, that is there definitely.
so with that perception, that cocktail of age and still having the OLQs, or the makeup of the constituent makeup of an armed forces officer, and having a relevant experience, may not be at the seniority of senior officers, but not totally being out of the equation kinds. Why would you recommend HR as a choice to the short service officers, and, as you mentioned, to the lady officers?
Okay. So HR is, as we talked earlier also, those certain qualities which in a typical HR profile candidate who has worked 10, 12, 13 years in corporate sector is deemed to have acquired or should have acquired, and is ready to be invested upon by an organization to groom him for senior positions. Those qualities of leadership skills, communication skills, ability to engage, problem solving, decision making, leading a team, all those aspects, plus a knowledge of training and development procedures, recruitment procedures, performance management and evaluation, all these aspects which generally at 10 to 13 years of service qualify for something as an HR journalist profile, with specialization in one or two verticals. So while he is still not a typical career, corporate career is still not be denoting a HR head or a VP HR position, but yet can be a functional head of a sub vertical, or heading as an HR journalist profile of a particular business or a business entity, leading a small team of sub-vertical heads and with specialized function. So in that context, a short service officer with his, as we said, the advantage of age and his DNA having been having deemed to have imbibed the service ethos and qualities, and is also ready to be molded sufficiently into the corporate world, carries that advantage. And yes, lady officers, because at that middle level management entries, especially with the focus on gender diversity and inclusion programs, and with a gender neutral workplace aspects, and requirement to have an implementation of posh policies, that particular level of entry, a female officer also has that advantage to undertake, understand, and implement those DNI aspects and other social requirements of an inclusive workplace. So that way, the advantage is there.
So you recommend these positions because you feel that these officers would have a progressive career going ahead in HR if they choose to join.
Yes, if they have somebody has a passion to follow his inherent inbuilt inclination to engage with employees, to create a positive impact in the organizational climate and culture, look and address the issues of the employees, manage the workforce, and be available to give an empathetic hearing to the setup. I'm sure the short service officers in the domain of human resource will have a bright going for them.
Any particular education or certifications you would recommend to these short service officers which can help them step into an HR function?
As we discussed, the advantage of age being there. It's still a relatively younger age profile, and as also vis-a-vis those pure technical roles, marketing and sales roles, the longevity of an HR career is comparatively greater. So when a short service officer is coming in, the organization is seeing him to, he can grow in the organization for in a longer time frame vis-a-vis in pure technical roles or marketing and sales roles. So in that case, because of the longevity of the career in HR being there, it is advisable if somebody has the time and the willingness to spare a certain amount and the opportunity cost to undertake a full-time HR specialization, it will be advisable. And even in aspects like MSW or compliance management, if not a structured one-year program, then definitely the MSW programs can be considered. So, though in those aspects, yes. And if in case that is not possible for reasons beyond the control of the officer, then yes, certifications should be undertaken and they should be coupled with uh, on correspondence or part-time MBAs, which can be undertaken while you started a corporate journey or even before transition into. But definitely, while the service career purely may give you a entry foothold because you have to serve for longer time, and as you gain corporate experience, those qualifications will be at some stage will be required to be highlighted in the profile.
Right.
So one would advise that.
To sum up, you said if possible and if the externalities permit, then a full-time 1 year kind of a structured course in MBA.
Yeah,
Else, some certifications in social work or compliance, etc. And then while working, gain a part-time MBA to augment the existing.
yeah, correct. Once you and a part-time MBA can be undertaken even while one is in service. There are opportunities available to undertake evening programs or distance learning programs, but better would be to do a part-time program where you physically go to a institution of learning if somebody is not able to do a full-time program. And maybe the last resort could be a correspondence online. Certifications you rightly pointed out, and even MSW would also give an advantage, but definitely advisable for a short service officer.
Okay. So, what are the transferable skills while from uniform which this short service officer can kind of transfer to the HR related work in the corporate?
The very nature of a work profile, irrespective of the arm or the service we are in, generally, other than our specialized work, a number of functions across the arm and services, the officers, and across geographies, I would say, there's certain commonality of functions. There is an undercurrent of similarity. Of course, the policies and SOPs and our guiding guidelines are uniform across the length and the breadth, across the armed services. So, so while a recruitment policy or a promotion policy or an ACR is absolutely verbatim same for everybody. So, skills like being involved in recruitment processes, being involved in conduct of promotion cadres, uh, promotion exams, training for upgradation cadres, which happen at the unit or formation level, review of policies, especially related to training, review of or part of innovation methodologies in training or assessment, part of review of, say, part of trials for technical officers. When you are part of trials, you get to know, you interact with the domestic and foreign in the private or government agencies. You undertake trials, you prepare trial reports, being part of that depends on the nature of postings also in part of financial planning, where we get posted at even core headquarters now as FP. So, and even in part of for services, in part of being resource management trainings, optimal utilization of resources, and so things like for other technical arms like in the related to something to project management. These are the aspects when you lead these projects or are part of the teams of these aspects, they come in handy as part of those skills which at a middle level HR position one would be able to very easily transfer from the services into the corporate role profile. There could be many more, but some of these main ones which one could thought of.
Okay. So my last question: while preparing a resume for an HR position as a short service officer, what would you say I should highlight there? What tasks or roles I have performed which are relevant or parallel to corporate HR functions and which would improve the probability that I get an interview call and a subsequent opening.
So, what happens is that a resume should not be a list of what postings one did in the last 10, 12, or 13 years. It should just not be a, a timeline or a chronology of one's location, appointment, and a brief nature of duties which one undertook in those. But what more important is to highlight that while tenanting those appointments, while being in position at various locations, what was the contribution which brought out some qualitative or quantitative difference, which and added value to that position. When I said add value addition to a position, it implies that when you came and tenanted that chair, these were the matrices. Now, while being in service and tenanting that chair, probably those matrices no one ever talked of. It may not have been talked of. But if you want to convert it into an effective CV, which immediately catches the eye of a recruiter looking for a service officer profile at a middle level HR position, what should be highlighted is that while being on that operational, administrative, or position handling training, what value addition in terms of the changes which were brought out, which and had a positive outcome. Now, it could be that one could be, say, the second in command of a compo platoon. Why the recruiter, purely civil in an organization, may not differentiate between what is the strength of a compo platoon and an infantry company. Definitely, a compo platoon may have less people. But say if he says that when he joined, the processes of turnover of rations or resources was made such that there was less wastage. It used to be 15% when he joined, and with these innovation of this technology, introduction of the particular technology or refining of the processes, the wastage came down. Something like that. If it is a setup of repair and recovery, then by introducing a particular practice or certain monitoring mechanism or some methodology, while the breakdowns and the repairs required and the expenditure being incurred on a particular set of repair and recovery procedures was itna, while with these efforts it came down by itna percent. Similarly, somebody who's in financial part of financial planning or trials can make out that these are the quantitative benefits accrued by his being part of that team and introducing those measures. So, what value one added into those aspects of position are more important than merely a chronology of the positions. That will
Right.
definitely be something which gets immediately noticed.
Mhm.
So it could be as simple as that, as somebody, say somebody from education core. So probably he can say that or responsible for or a education officer of a brigade, that he was responsible for army school, running of the army school. Now that is just one part of it. But then by when he joined, the result was this: ABCD steps taken, the cost came down by itna percent and the results went up by itna percent. It could be use of technology. Somebody was handling welfare as a regimental twice. So you can say that we used to have, say, vocational training for families, Jawan's families. But when he joined, he tied up with NIIT so that any family which was undertaking a course in IT with the help of brigade signals was being awarded a diploma by or a certification by NIIT at no cost. Something as a CSR. So that brings out that while previous to that also people were doing the same thing, but this is how an impact was made. That will give a highlight to that profile.
So if I understand you, what you're saying is, sir, that officers should try and bring out the task they performed so that that brings out or highlights the underlying skill which is utilized in that task, and that's how they, instead of just putting it in a chronological manner, and that too
Yeah.
Jargonizing it in the
in the
military.
military manner. That the military purely tenet was DAAQMG of a mountain brigade responsible for administration of 500 troops is okay for the MS branch.
Right.
But what, how, something which, because ultimately what will be the deciding factor is the value addition which one brought to that particular profile, and that happens everywhere. The CVs have to highlight the qualitative or quantitative difference. At the senior level, it is more of qualitative difference, and at mid-level man, it's more in terms of numbers. Although numbers plays an important role everywhere, but value addition in a particular profile while being in service would definitely be should be highlighted because that is the one which swings it in one's favor.
Right, sir. Sir, thank you so much for all this valuable guidance. As a parting note, would you like to say something which helps a short service officer start a career in the human resources?
So first thing is that there is a plethora of opportunities. HR is a function which is uh, which is there despite technological interventions. It is across all sectors of the economy, and as the economy grows, as the workforce grows, and as the challenges in handling that workforce grows, there are so many facets in HR which are going to face huge demand of HR professionals. So not only at leadership positions, but at the heading specialization in particular verticals, the demand is going to be huge because we're looking at enhancement of skill, we're looking at upgradation of skill, we are looking at bringing in new skills, new as technologies emerge, they need to be incorporated with various verticals of HR. And as a short service officer, with those qualities imbibed and with the never say die attitude of the services which the corporate world looks for, if one has the passion, then sky is the limit for him or her in the field of HR and corporate.
Thank you so much, sir. That was not just motivating, it also kind of sets the tone for future for HR professionals and armed forces officers who choose to be there. So we had an interaction with Colonel Gaurav Dimri for young officers wanting to be in HR as a career choice. Thank you so much for your time and efforts.
Thank you very much, Captain. Thank you.